You've probably seen the headlines. Tensions between the United States and Iran are back in the global spotlight. It's a story that seems to reappear every few years, but what's really going on behind the scenes? Let's break it down. Recent reports suggest that US officials are taking a fresh look at their strategy toward Iran. Now, this doesn't mean something dramatic is about to happen tomorrow. In foreign policy, governments are constantly reviewing their options. It's like a chess game where you're always thinking 10 moves ahead, considering every possible response from diplomatic talks to economic penalties. This is standard procedure, especially when dealing with a region as critical as the Middle East. But what makes this moment different? It's the context. Iran is currently navigating some serious internal challenges. The economy is under immense pressure, partly due to international sanctions. And this has led to widespread public dissatisfaction. Imagine trying to manage a household budget when your income keeps shrinking and prices keep rising. Now scale that up to a national level. These internal pressures are colliding with the long-standing external tensions between Tehran and Washington. The main points of contention haven't changed: Iran's nuclear program, its influence across the Middle East, and broader security concerns. When a country is facing pressure from both within and without, it often forces other global powers to reevaluate their own strategies. For the United States, this isn't just about Iran, it's about the stability of the entire Middle East. Why does that matter so much? Well, the region is a linchpin for global energy markets. A huge portion of the world's oil and gas flows through its shipping lanes, like the Strait of Hormuz. Any disruption there can send shockwaves through the global economy, affecting everything from the price you pay for gas to the confidence of international investors. So, when Washington policymakers discuss Iran, they're also thinking about oil prices, global trade, and the security of their allies in the region. This brings us to the central dilemma facing US decision-makers. It's a classic balancing act. On one hand, they could apply strong pressure to signal resolve and deter certain actions. This might involve tougher sanctions or a more assertive military posture. But this approach comes with significant risks. Pushing too hard could backfire, leading to an unintended escalation that destabilizes the entire region, disrupts those vital energy markets, and potentially pulls in other countries like Russia or China. It's a high-stakes gamble where a miscalculation could have far-reaching consequences. On the other hand, they could opt for restraint and diplomacy. This path focuses on negotiation, de-escalation, and finding common ground. The goal here is to reduce tensions and avoid conflict. However, this approach has its own set of risks. To rivals, it might be perceived as a sign of weakness, potentially emboldening them. For allies in the region who rely on American security guarantees, it might raise questions about Washington's commitment to their safety. It's a tough position to be in. You're trying to be firm without being reckless, and open to dialogue without appearing weak. In this complex geopolitical puzzle, economic tools have become the go-to option. Sanctions, trade restrictions, and financial controls are powerful instruments in modern statecraft. They allow a country to exert pressure without firing a single shot. The idea is to change a government's behavior by squeezing its economy and limiting its access to the global financial system. These measures have been a cornerstone of US policy toward Iran for decades. However, their effectiveness is a subject of constant debate. Do they actually achieve their political goals? And what about the unintended consequences? These sanctions can have a severe impact on ordinary citizens, affecting their access to food, medicine, and other essential goods. This humanitarian cost is a major part of the international conversation, and that brings us to another key element. The rest of the world is watching closely. US allies in Europe and Asia, major energy importers like Japan and India, and global institutions like the United Nations, they all have a stake in what happens between Washington and Tehran. A decision made in the White House can ripple across global supply chains and shift political alliances. That's why even the news of a policy review can be enough to make markets jittery and get diplomats on the phone. In our interconnected world, no major foreign policy decision happens in a vacuum. So, what does this all tell us? This situation is a perfect illustration of how power works in the 21st century. It's not just about military might anymore. Global influence is a complex mix of diplomacy, economic leverage, strategic signaling, and careful risk calculation. The current discussions in Washington are less about an imminent conflict and more about the long-term management of risk, credibility, and national interests. It's about navigating a world where a single spark can ignite a wildfire, but where dialogue and strategic patience can also pave the way for stability. Understanding these dynamics helps us see the bigger picture. When you read about US-Iran tensions, remember it's not just a bilateral issue. It's a story about global stability, economic security, and the intricate dance of international relations in an increasingly uncertain world. It's a reminder that the decisions made in one part of the globe can, and do, affect us all. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into global affairs. See you in the next video.